Hello, my creeplings. We're back with a sci-fi horror now. From 1997, this is a first-time watch for me, even though it's been recommended across the board by many, many people. Event Horizon. This one's got a lot of names attached to it. It was a very, I'm used to kind of watching, I guess you'd say, kind of more DIY looking stuff. This was a very slick, you could tell Hollywood put their money behind this. Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, the guy who brought us a lot of video game adaptations, married his muse, Mila Jovovich. Yeah, that Paul Anderson. So you can tell this is going to be a visual delight because he loves his visuals. Cast is wow. We've got Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus, Cowboy Curtis himself. He's our captain. Sam Neill. Oh, was it Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park? I'm always going to think of him as Merlin, but he's in so many different things. It's Sam fucking Neill. He plays one of our main characters. He's a designer of the ship called the Event Horizon. Kathleen Quinlan plays our doctor. Now, I have seen her in a lot of things, but when I think of her, she was in the Doors movie with Val Kilmer, but I know she's been in a lot of other stuff I've seen. Not really a horror sci-fi genre girl, but she's definitely worked a lot. She's a known name, especially to people like 10 years older than me, 15 years older than me. Very popular in the 80s and 90s. Jolie Richardson, again, has done a lot of stuff. I mostly remember her from the remake, or the American version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. She was in that, I believe. I mostly remember her from the BBC production of Lady Chatterley's Lover because of Sean Bean. Sean Bean. That's a guy we might get onto eventually. Richard T. Jones is T.F. Cooper. I'm not familiar with him. There's something about him that was familiar, but I didn't really do a lot of research on him. But I do love Cooper as a character. I will tell you that much. The guy hit it out the park on that one. Jack Noseworthy plays our little ensign, Justin. He was in a show on MTV, and if anybody my age kind of remembers this, I think it was called 18 to Die or something like that. He was also in Barbed Wire with Pamela Anderson and Idle Hands. He played the guy who was always that Anton went to for advice about, the devil and all that, because he's always listening to that devil shit and all that. Brady Bunch movie, I think he was in the first one. He does a lot of character stuff. I haven't seen him recently. Excuse me, I got a little scratchy throat today. Spring is starting to sprung here in Ohio, and it's kind of been acting up in my throat. So if I start, I'm sorry. But Jack Noseworthy, yeah. You'll see him and you'll go, I know that guy. And again, he's a character actor that showed up a lot, especially during this point in time, the late 90s into the early 2000s. I'd love to know what he's been doing. Maybe that's something for me to look up later. Jason Isaacs, Lucius Malfoy himself, plays DJ, one of our medics. Guy named Sean Pertwee as Smitty, or Smith. He's the pilot. And there's a few other bit parts that are mentioned, but I don't recognize the names. This is one of those, it could be considered a horror movie. It's definitely got its horrific elements. It is very much sci-fi, although, is this starting to annoy anybody else? You watch something that's 20 years old, maybe 30 years old, a little older than that even, and they all figured that by 2030 we'd be space travel and hover cars and all that. So you're kind of sitting here looking at it going, if they would have just made it 21 whatever, this would have made a lot more sense. Because we as the human race have not gotten that far. God knows we're dreaming, but we haven't made it that far. Okay, my side notes, my little complaint has been addressed. But yeah, this is definitely, the sets are great. Definitely gives you that lived-in future feeling. We start out with a distress signal had been picked up by a rescue ship, the Lewis and Clark, which I just love that name because American history just makes me smile. Considering this is supposed to be an international ship and half the crew's British, yeah. They pick up a distress signal. Turns out it's this lost ship, the Event Horizon, which was an experimental ship. You find out more about the experimental later. So the crew picks up the designer of the ship, Dr. Weir, played by Sam Neill. And they find the ship at the edge of Neptune, because apparently we haven't gone past our solar system yet. And the ship's intact and mostly usable, but the crew is all gone. They find that life support, I guess, had been shut off. It was at sub-zero. They find a frozen corpse, a corpse-sicle, as she puts it. Well, once they get the ship up and running, they start trying to figure out what happened to the crew. And they all start having, like, hallucinations of, like, past wrongs and big fears. And you don't get to see everybody's hallucinations, and I don't know if everybody... excuse me. If everybody actually had them. But there's just something off and wrong about this ship. You find out that it's because of, it has a special, I think they call it a gravitational drive, that can fold space-time. So that instead of being able to travel faster than the speed of light, they basically use wormholes to jump. It was an experimental drive, and that's part of the reason why they're there, to collect and figure out what happened. Because the ship had been missing for 7 years. The Event Horizon had. Justin ends up somehow getting sucked into the core and then pulled out in a catatonic state. He wakes up later, after all these hallucinations have started, but everyone's contributing it to, like, CO2 inhalation, because their CO2 scrubbers aren't working very well. There's reasons. Basically what happened, and I'm massacring this, I really am. The ship didn't just open a wormhole or a small black hole. It opened a portal to what they're alluding is actually hell. The original crew ended up mutilating and killing themselves and each other. Excuse me. The ship had become sentient and now wanted to keep, I guess, I'm going to use the term sacrifice. I don't know if that's actually what the ship was trying to do, and open the portal to take more lives with them. I will say, the way I just said that massacred the entire film. Or the thing. Trust me, watch it. Now, when I had been told about this, I had also been told that there was, it was really gory and really great. And while there is gore and a lot of great effects, and I forgot to write down who did the visual effects on this, the blood and gut stuff, it was cut in such short little bits that it was, I guess because I watched so many horror movies, it wasn't shocking to me. It was very well done, though. I just wish they would have lingered in what they call there's a, in the end of the captain's log, in the ship's log, there's bits and pieces of what is called the blood orgy scene. People raping and fucking and mutilating, and it's just, but there wasn't enough of it in there, in my cut that I watched, for it to really be super horrific. I just kept going, what the hell was going on? It took me a minute. If I had known that's actually what was supposed to be happening, I may have missed it. But one by one, these hallucinations do start taking the crew out. Poor little Justin ends up, he doesn't die, but he ends up in critical condition and basically put in their version of a Bacta tank, from decompression. It was so hard to watch him do that. One of them falls to their death due to a hallucination. One of them, Weir, rips his own face up. I mean, the effects are great. The story is really good. In this cast, I'm sorry, you put Lawrence Fishburne in just about anything, and I'm like, I am here. Then you throw Sam Neill on top of that, and I'm like, yes, I am here. Now, the character of Cooper, I don't know the actor's work very well. Actually, I don't really know it at all, I'll be honest. I loved this character. He's your kind of, like, I want to say he's your comic relief, but he's not really comical. He's just himself. Oh, kind of bullshitty. Definitely a little, too macho for his own good in a way, but it's presented in a almost lighthearted way. Yeah. Cooper's pretty cool. Smitty, the pilot, he's like your superstitious type. He's like, I don't want to fucking be here. This ship is cursed type stuff. He's great. Lawrence Fishburne gives such a great performance as this captain who's just like, I'm getting this done. I'm getting my crew out of here, and I am getting the hell out of here. This was really good. You could definitely feel the Anderson slickness of it. And this was like, I think this was before he got a hold of the Resident Evil franchise. I think he had just come off of Mortal Kombat. And they wanted to offer him the Annihilation, Mortal Kombat 2. And possibly X-Men were going to be offered to him. And he's like, I don't want to do another PG-13. I want to do kind of a horror movie, something rated R. And he did, and it was good. That's what this was. If you like horror and sci-fi, I would definitely give this one a whirl. There's a video game that has a Viscera cleanup level that really based one of their levels off of this. I will definitely have to look into that to see if maybe I can get some more detail out of the Viscera. I know. You and your details. But I mean, sometimes just looking at this stuff is just, it's mind-blowing. I wish they would have, I guess apparently what happened, why this movie was I don't want to say it was supposed to be better, it was supposed to be a little bit different. Paramount released this, and they were racing against, I think they wanted to release it before Titanic, because they knew Titanic was going to be a hit, and they wanted to make sure that they got their place in the box office before everybody was distracted. Then Titanic changed its release date, so they changed this one's release date, and it kind of messed with the editing. I've heard there are supposed to be some deleted scenes that are a lot gorier and a lot bloodier. There was supposed to be more to the blood orgy scene, and they keep saying that the footage is lost, although there has been rumblings of a VHS of the first rough cut has shown up. But neither Paul Anderson nor the producer has sat down and actually watched it. It'd be kind of cool if they came out with the rough cut. Just, like we got the Snyder cut for Justice League. Let's get the rough cut of Event Horizon. I want to see how gorific. Yeah, I just came up with a word, gorific. I don't want to say I came up with it, but it just popped into my head. How gory and horrific it was supposed to be. Because I think if that would have read, I definitely would have a lot more to talk about right now. But the story is really solid, especially watching. This is like Haunted House on a spaceship. Watching the ghosts, or in this case, the entity, make them slowly go mad with their visions and hallucinations and all that. One of the characters is a mom whose son is not with her, and her hallucinations are all about her son laying on a examination table, lesions all on his legs, and then she ends up dying because she follows her son through the ship, and she's chasing after him and ends up falling down a pretty deep hole. You know what I'm talking about. How on spaceships there's always these big open spaces where you just fall, or oh, that's a danger, be careful, that rather than putting some chicken wire, like industrial strength chicken wire or something over it so you don't just fall through. So that's how they take her out. The captain had to, in his past, leave a crew member behind to die, and this crew member keeps haunting him. Dr. Weir's wife, apparently, it keeps showing up in his hallucinations. So whatever this thing is that made this ship self-aware can like read your innermost regrets and fears and all. I would not want to be in a situation like that. Not that anybody would want to, but I would be probably be one of the first ones to go. I got a lot of regrets and a lot of fears about things that would probably cause me to do something stupid and end up dead. I'm not a superwoman. I am nowhere near mentally well enough to be strong enough to deal with something like that. So, you know, when I watch movies like this, it makes me think sometimes. And I mean, that can be a good thing. So when you start to recognize some real issues or shortcomings that you have and you know that you need to fix them. Because remember, the first step in admitting in fixing a problem is admitting you have a problem. And then going and finding help. So, but yeah, Event Horizon, 1997. 97? Yeah, 97. Paul Anderson with Lawrence Fishburne, Jolie Richardson, Sam Neill, Jason Isaacs. That was kind of cool. I don't see him in a whole lot. Granted, I know he's got a huge body of work. He just doesn't show up in stuff that I've watched a lot of. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna recommend this one. If you're having if you want to go through Paul Anderson's filmography, definitely watch this one. Same thing with Lawrence Fishburne, or Jolie Richardson, or Sam Neill, or Jason Isaacs. Everybody turned in a stellar performance in this one. There were no bad actors in the damn house. I'll give you that much. Because let's face it, some of these 80s slashers that I tend to like, some of the acting isn't exactly up there on the bar. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule, but this is an example of what happens when you can get a studio behind a good story and not mess with it too much and cast it with known names that are willing to go out of their comfort zone. You know? Not everybody will do a sci-fi movie. Not everybody will do a horror movie. Now it's more popular. But, you know, 80s and 90s, a lot of times people that did those movies, especially early in their career, they did it for the paycheck. You know, at this point in time, Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus himself, well, he was soon to be Morpheus, was not doing this for the paycheck. He was doing it because, you know, he got to work with Paul Anderson or whatever. I got hair in my face, and it's just driving me nuts. Please excuse me. I know me and the hair playing with is kind of a thing, but this is even ridiculous for me. Okay, I think I finally got it, guys. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to say watch Event Horizon. You'll enjoy it. This is it's well shot. The art direction's great. Some of those sets, I'm just sitting here going, whoa, with the amount of detail put into them. Excuse me, I burped. They said that, like, the interior of the Event Horizon, a lot of the design and inspiration came from like Gothic cathedrals. I definitely saw, so I also saw a little bit of like Art Deco movement in there, and I'm like, my girl who likes art is like, okay, I can get behind this. Love that. But on that note, I think I've prattled on for about 20 minutes now, maybe a little less. I am going to say, watch this, enjoy it. I'm going to go watch another movie because I got the time. I might as well do it. That way I have more to talk about with you guys. So I'm going to say goodnight, my creeplings. And I'll see you next time. Bye.